Hey y'all, welcome to the Flavor Fox. I'm here to put delicious looking recipes to the test so you don't have to. I'm your friend in the kitchen, just telling you like it is. So come on y'all, let's get cooking. You can find links to the recipe we're trying today, along with helpful ingredients and the kitchen stuff I use in the description of this video. Hey y'all, today's recipe is for smooth, creamy, cool banana pudding. Now I've heard that the banana pudding recipe in Magnolia Table, which is Joanna Gaines' first cookbook, is absolutely amazing. It's called Aunt Opal's banana pudding. I had a special occasion with people coming over, and more than a couple of them that just love banana pudding, so I figured I'd give this one a try. So that means today's recipe is in an actual cookbook instead of online. I was especially interested when I read this recipe because it says it is 20 minutes of prep time and then you just put it in the fridge. I think I can manage 20 minutes for a great banana pudding. The ingredients are pretty simple, but include homemade whipped cream. There's a reference to the prior page in the cookbook that has how to make this whipped cream. It's basically just using your stand mixer or hand mixer to make it at home. Joanna does state that a 16-ounce tub of Cool Whip is perfectly fine too, so if you're not into making homemade whipped cream, then Cool Whip will work. I wanted to try it the full way through though, so I decided to go ahead and make the whipped cream. I mean, homemade whipped cream is just that delicious. I did follow Joanna's homemade whipped cream recipe on the prior page though. I put on the whisk attachment. So we just add in the heavy cream, sugar, vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt. Then we turn on the mixer to whip up the whipped cream. Joanna's recipe said to turn it on high straight away, but mine splattered a little, so I started low and then went to medium and then high. You could also do this with a hand mixer if you don't have a stand mixer. Now's time for some truth telling. See, I love my stand mixer because I can step away for a minute while it does the work. The problem is I stepped away just about now, and whipping whipped cream takes about 4 minutes. Well, I left the camera going and I walked away for 8 minutes. So I'm going to show you what happens when you over whip whipped cream. Yeah, so instead of the soft peaks I was looking for, I ended up with over whipped cream the consistency of cake batter. You ain't gonna find this on other cooking shows, y'all. Food Network is not gonna show you the fails, but here it is in all its glory. I will note, just so y'all are aware, this tasted just fine and I'm totally gonna use it. But for my guests, I'm gonna make another batch that has that nice fluffy consistency we're looking for. I also noticed that this didn't make 6 cups of whipped cream. I realize I over whipped it, but this should have been closer to the 6 cups that I needed. So when I make it again, I'm gonna double everything. So I restart my cooking time because of my mistake and to be fair to Miss Joanna, and put in the ingredients again. I'll do it on fast forward this time, and I'm not gonna walk away so it doesn't get over whipped. After about 4.5 minutes, that whipped cream was perfect. I was proud I was redeemed here, so I zoomed in and snuck a little taste. And I'm going to show you with a spoon exactly how fluffy and delicious this is. Yep, that's exactly what we were looking for. Whew, crisis averted. Now that we've got the whipped cream finally settled, I'm going to place it in the refrigerator while I work on the pudding part. To begin the pudding, we put 8 ounces of room temperature cream cheese into the mixing bowl. Now we whisk the cream cheese until it is smooth, which just takes a minute or so. And now I'll pour in that can of sweetened condensed milk. If you haven't worked with sweetened condensed milk before, this might surprise you. It is thick, but Any dessert that I've ever had made with sweetened condensed milk is delicious. So all of that thick, gooey sweetness goes in the bowl. Then a cup of whole milk and a 3.4 ounce package of instant vanilla pudding. Now I point out here, make sure you get the instant pudding. There is also cook and serve pudding that you have to cook with heat for the pudding to set up. We want the instant because this is a cold dessert that is not getting heat applied. Now we run all that together for 2 minutes until it's well blended. Now the instructions say to add half of the whipped cream. We ended up with about 6 cups of whipped cream, so half is 3 cups. We place that in the bowl and lightly beat that together with our pudding mixture until it's just combined. You don't want to overmix it. And now, because of that whipped cream, we have sort of fluffy and light pudding. Now that the filling was complete, the recipe called for 3 sliced bananas. So I sliced those up really quick so we can go ahead and start assembling that banana pudding. Now before I start assembly here, I'm just going to note, Joanna says you're supposed to use a 3-quart trifle dish, individual glasses, or any other container that has straight sides. I don't own a 3-quart trifle dish, and honestly, outside of a nice bakery, I have never seen a banana pudding served in a trifle dish of any kind. Most of the time, people show up with it in a big old bowl or a large glass casserole dish. I'm just going to use this big bowl that I have that has a nice lid for transport. The first layer in the banana pudding says to put vanilla wafers in the bottom in a single layer, sort of flat. So I'm going to do that here, trying to make them look kind of nice and even and flat. And we follow that with about 1/3 of the banana pudding mixture. So I'm going to place that in the bowl here. And then sort of pat it around so that it makes a nice even layer. And then we do another layer of the wafers, all pretty and flat and in circles. Then we come in with a layer of the bananas, all flat to match the wafers. Then another 1/3 of the pudding. And now we start another layer of the vanilla wafers and bananas. And y'all, on the image in the recipe, Joanna didn't have these perfect layers with concentric circles. No. She had it all random and just kind of dropped in glasses, and it looked great. So I decided to try this next layer just kind of random like she did. At this point, I realized my serving bowl is probably a little larger than 3 quarts. So I was going to need some more bananas. Fortunately, I had 3 more, so I sliced those up real quick. And then I'll continue my random layering, just kind of dropping them in wherever it looks like it needs some coverage. And now we do the final layer with the last 1/3 of that pudding and flatten it all out. Now this last layer is the part that's visible to your guests, so I decided to do it all bougie and go back to the concentric circles since they were all going to see it. They don't need to know that the inside was pretty random. Now that we've finished that, we're just going to put a lid on it for safekeeping until we're ready to serve. The instructions say to wait to put that whipped cream on top until you're ready to serve it. Okay, y'all. Real life happened, and I took a video of putting the whipped cream on top of this dish before serving it, but I can't find it anywhere. Fortunately, I took one picture of it to try to show the final dish. I got a little carried away and put a couple of vanilla wafers in the middle to try to make it look extra special and fancy. I don't really think I needed to do that. It looks pretty great without it. So, let's see how Aunt Opal's banana pudding ranked. On time. It took me exactly 25 minutes to prepare this and get it into the fridge. I realize it took 5 minutes longer, but that's because I decided to make the homemade whipped cream myself. I did not, however, include my little whipped cream snafu. The instructions. The instructions were really easy to follow and offered additional explanations throughout. I oversimplified in my description to y'all putting it together, but Joanna goes into a lot of detail, including how many inches deep the pudding should be on the ordering of the layering. Pretty impressive. The look. As that pudding came out of the mixer bowl, I was really excited, y'all. This didn't look like just cook and serve pudding. No. This was that perfect, light, fluffy consistency. The whipped cream was also absolutely beautiful. By far the prettiest homemade whipped cream I've ever made. Once I had this all layered up, I was really happy with how it looked. No, I didn't do the really beautiful presentation in a trifle dish, but I put it together in a way that worked for my get-together, so I was happy. The taste. Like I said earlier, I was having a get-together at my house, so it wasn't just me and hubby this time. It was 4 extra people to try out this dish. Well, let me just tell you, Aunt Opal done it right. This was an absolute hit. It was light, fresh, creamy, and just the perfect amount of sweet. I'm sure I don't have to say this, but the final verdict is this one is certified foxy, y'all. The time and instructions were right on. The look and taste was off the charts. I can see why Miss Joanna put this in her first cookbook and gave props to Aunt Opal, because this was delicious. I recommend you make this for your next party with friends and family. They will be so thrilled that you shared Aunt Opal's prize-winning pudding. I am so glad we found a simple dessert today that is 100% certified foxy. You can find the recipe in the Flavor Fox recipe box. Don't y'all forget to check out the video description for links to this recipe, the ingredients, and even the kitchen stuff I use. Thanks for stopping by my kitchen. See y'all next time.